My name is Chris Behrends. I am making this video about my job shadow and reflecting on it, and I job shadowed a man named Pat Euler, and he's a technology specialist and kind of a boss here at Orchard Hill Church. When I first got there, I got a tour around the place from Scott, which is who I connected through Pat with, and when Pat got there, we first started talking about like what he does and stuff like that, and then he went into trying to switch the printers into a different network because the church is so big that they have a bunch of different networks for different things, and it took him a little bit, but eventually they finally got it. I talked to Pat about it, and he says that he has a master's in computer science, but he's more of a manager type thing too, so he can do a lot more than other people. And I talked to a couple other people there for strictly IT stuff and like getting the church service ready and stuff, and they said they all basically have their bachelor's degree. So I guess it depends how high you want to work yourself up the chain. You'd have to get different education levels for that. As you can see here, this is the Orchard Hill sign when you first pull up. It's just nothing crazy. I just wanted to take a picture of it just to prove to you that like the next picture doesn't look like a church. As you can see right here, it doesn't look like a church at all. It kind of just looks like a business office, which made me question if I was in the right spot or not. Luckily, that sign was there to kind of help me out. But yeah, it kind of just looks like the front of the hospital or a school or something, not like a typical church. And it looks like a school on the inside. Most of it is just little kids' playgrounds and like their classrooms and stuff like that, which is kind of cool. They only have like a little section that's for their pews and sanctuary. One of my favorite things about this whole job shadow thing at Orchard Hill was how hospitable they try to make it seem. That was one thing that Scott mentioned to me when he was taking me around the tour, is that they try to make it feel like home as much as possible so they get as much people to come back, and it really works because when I was walking through there, I really liked the place because they made it seem like I've been there before with how comfy and relaxing they've made it. And another good thing I liked about it was how relaxed every one of the workers was. They try to like be stress-free, which I know can be hard sometimes, and they do a really good job at it. And they say, one thing they kept saying is that they'll get it done, just don't need to rush. They always said that when they try to bring up a job to Pat or Scott. They always said no need to rush, just make sure it's done. And I really enjoyed that for some reason. Okay, this part was really hard for me because I really enjoy computer science and coding and all of that, but it did kind of get boring sometimes. I sat there just watching him work and explain stuff that I didn't even necessarily know about right away. So after doing that for like an hour and a half or two, I was bored. As bad as it sounds, I was just kind of bored. So I feel like sometimes I need more of like a constant thing to work on. I mean, I know they're working on it, but they're just sitting there and doing it. I feel like I need to move around a little bit or something. I don't know. It's just, I got kind of bored with sitting there a lot all day. So there was a couple of things that surprised me quite a bit, and I'm not going to get into too much because the stories they told me were like on a personal level, but they all seem to have stories that like brought them closer to Orchard Hill and their religion, and what brought them together is just crazy to me. I can tell one story. It was Pat was telling me about this kid who didn't really know where he stood in his religion, and he was talking about how it was like the typical cringy story about if the kid doesn't believe in God and all that. And then Pat was telling me that he went on top of the roof, and then he said the typical thing, if God's real, show me a sign. So he said that, and then there's a shooting star, and then the kid didn't believe it. So he said it again, he turned around, there was another shooting star. And then that immediately just made the kid believe in God, which was cool to me because I know there's a lot of kids and teenagers that are like that, who are kind of in the middle, don't really know what to believe, which is okay, but the stories that they all told me were beyond the whole computer science thing, and it was really cool. One of the final questions is, would I consider a career in this field? Why or why not? My final answer is yes. I would definitely consider this as an option in my future because I love computer science. I love what the whole thing does. I love helping people, and it's just, it all comes together for me. And you always do what you love, and I love doing this stuff, so I would definitely do this field in a heartbeat, no question asked. Some other things I might add is that if you're into computer science, coding, software development, web programming, anything like that, it's not always what you think of sitting in a cubicle all day just typing away on your computer. This made me realize that there are so many more options to what you can do with that degree that it blows my mind, because I would have never thought that having a master's or a bachelor's in computer science would get you to working at a church. Normally that's not the first thing you think of when you get a bachelor's or a master's degree in computer science. You think you just get on a computer, type away, work out the software problems or the hardware problems, but this made me realize that there's a lot more to the degree.